Today we're diving into one of China's most fascinating electric vehicle companies, Xpeng. But here's the thing, if you think they're just another EV maker, you're missing the whole story. Let's get into why.
Okay, before we kick things off, just a quick reminder, this is all for educational purposes. None of this is financial advice, and you know the deal, investing always carries risk. So please do your own homework.
This quote right here, it absolutely nails it. The story of Xpeng is a story about technology, first and foremost. You see, they're not just assembling cars, they're creating rolling supercomputers. And that, my friends, changes everything.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by unpacking what makes Xpeng so different. Then we'll get into their tech and their financials. From there, we'll look at the stock's long-term picture, explore their kind of crazy future plans, and then wrap it all up by weighing the bull versus the bear case.
So let's get right to it. Why does Xpeng matter so much? Well, they're sitting at the crossroads of two massive, and I mean massive, trends. China's absolutely booming EV market and the explosion of AI-powered vehicles. They're not just playing catch-up, they're trying to lead the charge.
And here is the key idea you need to grasp. Xpeng isn't really selling cars. They're building what they call smart mobility platforms. Think about it this way. A lot of car companies focus on the hardware, the engine, the body. Xpeng is obsessed with merging that hardware with their own software. What does that mean for you? It means their cars get smarter and better over time, just like your phone gets new features with every update.
So, smart mobility platform sounds cool, but what does it actually look like in the real world? Let's pop the hood on Xpeng's products and see how this whole idea comes to life. Okay, so Xpeng's whole ecosystem has a few core parts. First, yeah, they've got a great range of vehicles for different needs, but the real secret sauce is inside. Every car is running their XPilot driver assist system, which is powered by their very own in-house AI chips. And that enables the magic, those over-the-air updates we talked about. Your car is literally always improved. A tech-first approach is fantastic, but, it has to translate into actual sales. And Xpeng is fighting it out in the biggest and, frankly, most brutal EV market on the entire planet, China. Now, just to wrap your head around the opportunity here, get this. More than half, over 50% of all new cars sold in China are now electric. That level of adoption is just staggering, and it creates this incredible runway for growth. And this slide shows you just how intense that market is. Now, you might think Tesla is the undisputed king, but look at this. They're facing some serious headwinds. Back in October 2023, they had just over 3% of the market. Meanwhile, you've got Xpeng carving out its own space, really hitting that sweet spot between high-tech features and a more affordable price tag. They are definitely gaining ground. And you can see that strategy is absolutely working. The numbers don't lie. For the full year 2024, revenue shot up 33% to over 40 billion RMB. But just look at the acceleration. In the third quarter of 2025 alone, revenue more than doubled to over 20 billion. Now that is some serious momentum. Okay, so the business is humming along nicely, but what about the stock? What's the story there? Let's switch gears and pull up the long-term chart to see what it's trying to tell us.
All right, let's start with the big picture, the monthly view. See this pattern forming right around that $6 level? That's what chart watchers call a double bottom. It's a classic pattern, and it often suggests that all the sellers are finally worn out and buyers might be ready to step in.
Now let's zoom in a little to the weekly chart. See? That base we were just talking about, it's even more clear here. After that second dip, the price found its footing and started to stabilize. When you see a pattern like this show up on different time frames, it's usually a pretty strong signal.
So, what's been going on lately? Well, the stock's been kind of trading sideways, which might look a bit boring on the surface. But in reality, this can be a very healthy sign. It's what's called an accumulation phase, and it's where smart, long-term investors are quietly building their positions, getting ready for a potential major move down the line.
But here's the thing with Xpeng. The cars and the charts are only part of the story. What truly sets them apart is their vision for the future. And let me tell you, it's a future that looks like it was ripped straight from the pages of a sci-fi novel.
I mean, just look how ambitious this is. First up, they're pushing for Level 3 autonomous driving, where the car can handle most situations by itself. Okay, cool. Then they're launching new models in 2026. Makes sense. But then it gets wild. They're planning to launch flying vehicle prototypes in late 2026, and if that wasn't enough, they want to start producing humanoid robots in the same year. That is a bold, bold vision for the future. So, you've got a solid business today and a mind-blowing plan for tomorrow.
It's time to step back and look at the whole picture. What are the biggest reasons to be optimistic about Xpeng, and what are the biggest risks that could derail this whole thing?
Okay, let's break it down. On the bull side, the case is pretty clear. You've got strong delivery growth, profit margins are getting better, and their software and AI give them a real edge. And of course, there's that massive potential with robots and flying cars. But the bears have a strong case too. That Chinese market is a knife fight, profitability isn't guaranteed, and let's be honest, there's a huge risk they might not be able to pull off these moonshot projects.
So it all comes down to this one question. Is Xpeng a true visionary tech giant that's about to fundamentally change how we move? Or is it just another ambitious car maker that's maybe biting off a little more than it can chew? The answer to that question is what will define their entire future.